everyone. It's Libby from Maighstir Tarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI. And welcome to you, your guides, my guides, and the universal energies. Absolute pleasure to have you along today. If you're finding, well, first of all, yes, the trolls are out big time. You can report them with some of them of, stealing the name, stealing the image, etc. But they are obviously not me. The three little dots down the side of their comment, you can report them. Otherwise, just leave them be, and I'll catch them in my daily sweep up in my comments when I go through all the comments. I personally am finding myself, I can't comment on other YouTube channels' pages. I've been reported somewhere along the way as putting in hate speech. Probably did, or someone just didn't like my particular comment. So yeah, I'm in the bad books on other channels as well at the moment. It's just a sign of the times at the moment. Heart absolutely goes out. Please look after yourselves. California and Canada experiencing awful wildfires at the moment. Apparently Australian firefighters are on their way to assist if they haven't already arrived. Just putting it out there that Tuesday just gone was the hottest recorded day on a worldwide scale. I have put in my community page a link to is it Rewire or Electrify or whatever it is, USA. I went to a lecture from Dr. Saul Griffith last night, absolutely inspiring about what you can do to go forward as a country, as an individual in a country as we are moving towards carbon neutral. So I've put a link for the US version in there. The Australian version is, I think it's Rewire Australia instead of Rewire USA, something along those lines. And what I want to have a look at, the first reading I'm going to do today is just something that caught my attention in the news. Now, I'm using my maighstirtarot tarot, and it is along a bit of the same vein. So for those in the wildfire areas, please have your go bag ready, leave early, listen to the authorities. We were up on farm during the 2019-20 wildfires in Australia, horrific summer. Fortunately, we weren't affected, but everything was by the door. I don't know how often I actually packed the boot of the car ready to go. The horses were labelled. We had 3 exit points from 3 different angles. So, yeah, just very much plan your escape. Plan more than one way to get out of an area and have your go bags ready to go. Okay, what about on a similar note? What I want to have a look at. This is about human affecting nature and nature trying to rebalance. What caught my attention was an article about the Indian vulture population. Now, I know this is going to sound like a really weird topic, but what's happened is back in the 1990s in India, the use of a cheap non-steroidal painkiller for stock, so mainly cattle, became very popular in use. And what's happened is apparently when the cattle died and the carcasses were left, the vultures were feeding on them. The vultures were and are the clean-up agents. So they were feeding on the carcasses. However, this particular steroid caused kidney failure in the vultures, and over the following decade or so, apparently 98% of the vulture population was decimated. So, oh boy. So what's happened since then is that so researchers have been really looking into this in the areas where the vultures used to be, the garbage cans and the cleanup agents. In those particular areas, they have found that human deaths, preventable deaths, have increased by a minimum 100,000 a year just in those specific areas due to diseases, for example, an increase in the wild dog population because they had more to feed on and the vultures weren't taking the wild dogs, etc. For example, in rabies. So, oh boy, it just goes to show that human intervention in a cycle leads to issues in nature, and then the nature does what Mother Earth, Mother Nature does what she does, which is bringing about a rebalancing. Really quite fascinating. So what I want to have a look at, well, how do I look at this? So that particular non-steroid painkiller has been banned. The vultures are making a really, really slow comeback, understandably from 2% of the previous population. But let's have a look. Let's have a look. Are the Indian vultures going to make a comeback? Well, this is poor choices based on emotion. Now, I do understand cows are sacred in India, but let's have a look. Show me. Will the Indian vultures make a comeback? It's a lesson we need to learn. Thank you. If you hear my boys, let me know, because the fur babies are all fast asleep. There's nobody else in the house at the moment. Show me. Show me. What is the lesson humans need to know from the Indian vultures? And will we learn it is probably more to the point. Come on down, let's have a look. Balance. Doesn't come any simpler than that. We need to learn to balance and live in harmony with nature instead of trying to shortcut to override the natural processes. Absolutely. A return to balance. And this might be population volumes, this can be our use of resources, turning sort of wide spreads of grass back into garden, or whatever it is. The lesson that this is teaching us is balance with Mother Nature. And the second signifier it is about everyday choices that we make. And they're not necessarily the choices we're currently making, or the ones that are easiest, or the one that appear the most desirable. But this is very much getting back to choosing wisely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. The energy behind the scenes, something unexpected out of left field, or just even the fact that we feel like we're cut off emotionally. Emotionally, we're cut off from connection with nature. Not everybody, but a degree. You only have to look at countries like India, where there are whole families where their job is to be scavenging the tips, the garbage tips. That's not being in harmony with nature. That's being cut off with nature. Living in big concrete jungle cities where there's no trees, there's no greenery. It's very much about emotionally cut off from nature. And then we've got the Seven of Swords, the truth, the betrayal, the stealing, the heartbreak, the loss. But a light has now been shone on this issue of harmony with nature. But yeah, I'm going to say raping and pillaging and stealing and consumption. Okay. Our actions have consequences. We need to find the balance. We need to be aware of the balance of all the choices that we make. Now, I'm not going to deny I still drive a petrol car. It's a 2008 model Corolla. It's never, ever going to die on me because I get it maintained every 10,000 kilometres. I get it serviced. It is very much, however, when it does eventually need an upgrade, gosh, it's got 330,000 kilometres on it, but when it eventually needs upgrading, then I will make the choice to do EV, hybrid, hydrogen, whatever car I then need. So this is very much about choices. And as Dr. Saul Griffith, who I went to last night, I've put a link on my community page for the US, but if you're in Australia, just change the USA in the link to Australia and you'll find the Australian version thereof. Brilliant. He was a renewable energy advisor during the Obama administration. He was very much concentrating on the fact of we need to change the domestic level over the next 10 years, and then we can look at manufacturing. So we don't need to do everything today. Just when the car needs replacing, when the cooktop needs replacing, when the hot water service needs replacing, we need to really consider our options. We don't need to go out tomorrow and do it all, but when that time arises, we need to weigh up the options. Okay. And the message is starting to get out there. Absolutely. So look at the contrast between these two cards. What's coming out of this energy is this awareness that our actions have consequences and we need to consider balance. And the message is getting out there. It's a volatile message, but it is getting out there. Crowning this reading, the Moon card, it can feel emotionally overwhelming, but it's not. This is very much about when you make a conscious decision, do you really need that 15th polyester dress in your wardrobe? When you're buying new sheets or towels, do you get cotton or do you get hemp or bamboo? It's just when you need new, considering your options, because if you look at it in the issue in its entirety, it's very much emotionally overwhelming, and that's not what needs to happen. We need. It's very much about simply making choices. The Queen of Cups, emotional stability, emotional calm and serenity and strength, but connection with our surroundings. But again, the cup, she's still got something in it. Again, we don't need to change everything today, but we are at this point where we are seeing the truth, we are seeing reality. We need to let that truth go. We need to put it out there, let it soar, let it fly, and step over into the new beginning. And then Ten of Pentacles, these are end of cycle, new beginnings. Absolutely. It's a new end of a cycle. It's our legacy that we are going to leave for our children. It is about us deciding what future we want to have, stepping into our authority and taking the steps one step at a time. Not all at once, otherwise we get overwhelmed, but one step at a time through our everyday choices to bring about that future that we want. And here we've got the King of Swords looking forward, Foreward, looking to the future with wisdom, knowledge, transformative truth, clarity, looking to the future and what future do we want to bring about, deciding what is fundamentally important to us and letting go of the rest, and working together. Absolutely. We've got healing, serenity, harmony, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. It is time. I keep going, very much about sitting back and actually considering our options. If we want a pickup truck, do we really need the Ram big beast, or is a smaller Ranger or Hilux enough? If we need a get around family car, do do we need the big Land Cruiser, or is something smaller viable? It just every looking at your choices when the time presents, because we are about to set out on a new start, a new beginning, a new journey. This is very much feeling about realization and change. I love these cards at the end, really positive. Ace of Wands, the World card. Ending of the way of things were done and new beginning. And then on the base, we've got the Ace of Cups, working together, new emotional start is on offer. There's a lot of confusion about on the emotional level about going forward, but we have the compassionate strength to do so. There's no point in looking back and lamenting at the would have, should have, could have, if only Jimmy Carter's renewable energy policies had continued on. There's no point in looking back. We are where we are now. We need to look at what we can have in the here and now to go forward. So they're pretty positive cards. One thing that I was really surprised was Dr. Saul Griffith said last night was that in Australia we have a really good rooftop solar system. We are so perfectly poised for renewable energy down here, where there's not the like approval comes through sort of in 24 hours to put solar on. We have teams that just come in, put it on, away we go. You contact your electricity company, they flip the switch and away it goes, sort of thing. And he was saying that in Australia, the cost to install solar on a house is 90 cents per kilowatt, whereas I believe in the US he said it was $9 per kilowatt to install due to the red tape and bureaucracy. So what I'm really getting from that is perhaps time to lobby your local politicians. What we have in Australia, and you possibly do have in the US, is protectionism of the big energy providers. In the market forces. I'm just going to put it out there. It's maybe time to lobby your local politicians and bring about some change, starting from the grassroots. Now, I'm just going to do very quickly is the Indian vulture. Oh boy, because that went a bit different to where I was expecting it. Is the Indian vulture going to recover? And as I split and poker shuffle the deck, they were upside down, but I think yes, there is a new partnership, a new realization, a new plan, a bringing forth of healing and a new start. So I'm going to say yes, they will, possibly not to previous levels, but just have a quick look, couple of cards, guys. Will the Indian vulture, I know I'm on a soapbox on this reading, I do apologise. I just think it's something important that I just need to put out there on a regular basis. So will the Indian vulture population recover? Will it recover? Will the Indian vulture population recover? Okay, come on down. Very quickly. Okay, we've got the past as the signifier. Again, springing to mind, you don't realise what you've lost until it's gone. So acknowledgement of the past, challenged by the Ten of Cups, an emotional fulfillment, an emotional coming together, an ending of an emotional cycle. Oh, and then we've got the Ten of Pentacles as well. Goodness me, we had a couple of tens earlier as well. The legacy foundation is the legacy that we're going to leave going forward. It's also what have we got? 3 yes cards as well. In the past, working together, solid working together. So I don't know, I didn't see in the article that there was a concerted plan to rebuild this population, but I suspect there is. So let's see where this goes. A lot of anxiety, understandable. Anxiety, despair, once there's the realization of the flow-on effect of the decimation of the Indian vulture population. However, you have the one white raven there that is coming through to dispel the darkness. A lot of despair over the loss. Immediate future, some difficult decisions need to be made. The blindfolds need to be taken off. Externally, again, a yes card, slow, steady progress forward in the rebuilding. It's not going to happen overnight. Internally, we've got the death card, 98% decimated. However, there is a glimmer of light in regards to these deaths. We've got young, exuberant ideas and plans coming forward, but they are only in the initial phases. The outcome, great. Healing, healing, hope, casting the eyes up into an opportunity and holding on to that hope. Some boundaries, legislation perhaps being set up and standing behind that legislation. And then we have the Page of Pentacles, a new opportunity being brought forward for a new beginning. So I think, yes, I suspect there was nothing in the article about concerted rebreeding programs, but if there's some difficult decisions to be made, I'm getting from that there's some legislation that is going to be made that will protect them. The future looks good, but oh boy, they were literally on the brink. So yeah, I think things are going to be okay going forward now that there is this awareness and the roll-on effects of what's been happening. There's going to be legislation, there's going to be breeding programs. So yes, fingers and toes crossed. I think it's going to be okay. Okay, love to you all. Take care. Bye-bye.